Hello and welcome, friends. I'm excited to see you today. My name is Nokulunga, your host, as you know. And today we'll be looking at Girl Corner with Nokulunga. Today it's all about panty liners. If you don't know what it is, it ain't any other liner but the panty liner. And I'm asking the question of to be or not to be in the panty liner club. First of all, let's start with panty liners. I know that many women don't wear panty liners as a result of finances and because they can be inaccessible at times. But if you know what's good for you, at the end of this video, you'll have a much better idea of what panty liners are used for, and I'm hoping that it will provide clarity for younger women who want to know how to use panty liners. Let me tell you a story. Have you ever had somebody walk past you, particularly a female, stand up, either you're sitting in a taxi or in a classroom, they go past you, and next thing you hear this full sound, well, smell actually, and you're like, phew, that person either didn't wipe after urinating or doesn't bath properly, or there's just too much going on there. I've had that case many a times, even with some of my closest people, where I'm like, oh, yeah, ne, girl, what's happening, you know? And there's a million reasons as to why that might be the case. Some people may generally get more sweatier than others down there. Other people may not wipe properly, or they may find that there's no tissue to wipe to begin with. Other people may find that, they just drip long after they've even wiped or used the bathroom. So these things happen. Now, panty liners help with this. Now, let's talk about panty liners. What are panty liners? And I've written some notes here. So, panty liners are really to absorb everyday moisture. And I'm talking about vaginal discharge. I'm talking about, light period flows, whether it's before or after your period, or during that last few days of your period. They meant to manage intercourse discharge. After you have intercourse, there might still be discharge long after you've taken a bath, or even, wiped yourself and cleaned up. There might still be a discharge. Also, gym discharge. Have you ever noticed after a nice workout or a run, and you check your underwear and suddenly there's like this wet liquid there? Yep. Now, panty liners help to manage all of that, right? And also, sometimes you might have a urine leak, you really need to use the toilet, and there just isn't a toilet around you at the time. What do you do? Naturally, the body just goes scoops, 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 scoops. And no matter how many times you wipe, even if you think you're gonna wash your underwear and dry it in the bathroom with tissue or under those like dryers, it still doesn't dry and it still smells, guys. It still smells. So panty liners avoid all of those. And also, sometimes you're making out with your person and the next thing, hey, the juices start flowing. Panty liners absorb all of that. Or you go to a club, and the toilets are really dirty and they don't have tissue, or whatever the case may be, at Shisanyamas. Panty liners assist with those issues. You just wiggle, 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 and then you can go and you're okay, right? Given the extreme circumstances, of course. It's also important to note that there's panty liners for all types of underwear. I've had girls say to me, oh no, I don't wear full panties. Panty liners are not for me. I'm just like, darling, listen. There's a panty liner for your G-string. There's a panty liner for your T-string. There's a panty liner for your normal underwear. Lace, parachute, whatever it is, there is a panty liner for that. And I'll be showing you some of my range here at home of what I use, when and how. Because I tend to try different brands of panty liners, and I find that it helps me find what works for me. Also, it's also important, ladies, I just want to mention that there are two types of panty liners. There's scented and unscented. Scented panty liners are panty liners with perfume. They smell like flowers. They have chemicals in them. The manufacturers have gone through the extra mile of putting stuff to make it smell good. Even with some pads, I know some always pads also have like a floral smell, which I quite personally don't like, because what these chemicals do is they can be irritable to your vagina, and the vagina is already a very sensitive member of your body. So the scented and the perfume and the chemicals that they put may either be harsh and cause an irritation, a rash, an itch, or it may just cause a discharge and an odor and so forth. So I always advise that if you can, buy unscented panty liners and you'll have so much joy. I mean, there are times where you want to smell a bit better because, well, you know, you may have like an odor or something happening down there, but I always say to avoid all those complications, stick to unscented. All right, so just important to note around panty liners, ladies, I hope you're still with me. I want to say that panty liners are really not a substitute for pads. No, it's not. You cannot substitute a panty liner for a pad unless you are using a tampon. Now, if you are using a tampon, it's very advisable that you use a panty liner. The panty liner sticks on the underwear, it keeps your underwear clean so that even if the tampon drips, it still has protection and you won't get messed up, right? But it is not a substitute. If you're having heavy flows, you cannot be changing a panty liner because even the size of it varies. A pad is this long and this thick, and then a panty liner is generally like the length of my finger, and you can see that's not very long. So it's very important to know that it's not a substitute, especially to the younger girls watching this video. All right, also very important to know is unscented. I think I've mentioned the unscented versus scented panty liners, that unscented means they have not put any extra chemical in it. It's just made naturally with cotton, whatever the case may be, processed, packaged without any extra XYZs, right? So it smells very natural. It smells like cotton. It smells clean. It smells fresh. And also very important, ladies, please change your panty liners. There are women who don't change a panty liner for over 9 hours a day. Please, that can cause an irritation and that can actually make you ill. You don't want to get through to go through that. I've also seen women who also don't change their tampons. It's important to change your panty liner. It's important to change your tampon. Ideally, when you change your tampon is the time when you should also change your panty liner, just to make sure you're smelling fresh. And when you stand up or go past someone in a tight corner or whatever the case may be, you can comfortably walk through, periods or no periods, because you know that you are fresh and you're smelling fresh. So i.e., change your panty liner in the morning and change your panty liner halfway in the day. If it's lunchtime or mid-lunchtime, change it. And then if you are not on your periods, please, ladies, do not sleep in your panty liner. We do not sleep in our panty liners, ladies. Your hoo-ha or your vagina needs to breathe in the evening. So if you can, please let it breathe. Wear loose fitting clothing, loose fitting pajamas. If you can, wear like all cotton underwear. I know Woolworths has those. They look like granny panties, but they're made of cotton. They are really comfortable and they will work. You don't even need to wear a panty liner. You can wear a panty liner the next morning. Of course, if you're on your period and you've got a tampon on, then I suggest you wear the panty liner overnight. All right, so those are important things to note. Now, like everything in life, ladies, there's always advantages and there's always disadvantages. But before I get there, let me show you some of my range. Okay, are you ready? Drum roll. If I could, I'd put a sound right now. All right, so let's look. These are some of my range. As you can see, these are the Lilith one. Freshness, and it's really just to keep you smelling fresh. Let me bring it close to the camera so that you can see. That's what it is. You can see it doesn't have any wings. I actually haven't seen a panty liner that has wings. You know, with pads you have an option of wings and no wings. With panty liners I actually haven't seen an option like that. All right, and then I also recently bought these Comfort Tax one. I mean, these are so affordable. I bought these for 14 Rand at the grocery store. They are so comfortable and they are unscented. Remember, I mentioned this scented and unscented. Usually they write it here, scented or unscented. You will notice that this one doesn't really say much, but oh yes, it does say unscented right there. Same thing with this one as well. And just to show you what it looks like is this one, that's the Comfort Tax one, and that's what it looks like. and it sticks quite comfortably on your underwear. I've had much feedback from ladies who say, oh, but it doesn't really stick well on my underwear. What do I do? And I say, well, maybe just try changing your brand. And price doesn't mean it's gonna work for you. Like, some ladies think if you buy the expensive panty liners it'll work for you. No, just try out a few different ranges and see what works for you. It helps if you buy the ones in 20s or like in 40s, because it helps you change when you need to change. Also, in terms of affordability, I know Lillet also has like a pack which you can also get at the grocery store of 100 panty liners. That's 100 panty liners for only 40 bucks, 39 rand if I'm not mistaken. So that's also a good option that will last you for months at a time. I mean, it could easily last you for 3 months plus minus 4 months, because you have 1 week where you've got your period, and then you've got in every month. So if it's 100, then it can easily be split up into 4 months or 3 months, depending on your use. I wear panty liners every single day, ladies, whether I get to a toilet and there's no tissue, or whether I get to a toilet and there is tissue, I will still wear a panty liner. Whether I'm going out or not, I will still wear a panty liner, because it keeps me clean, it keeps me feeling fresh and confident. The one thing about the vagina is that it cleans itself, right? So you don't have to worry much about maintaining it too much, but you do have to worry about what you put in your mouth. You do have to worry things like pineapple, for example, really great for your vagina. They keep it smelling fresh and tasting fresh too. So in addition to eating fruits, drinking lots of water, you still need to wipe properly and practice bathing twice a day. Even if you're too tired and you don't feel like bathing, at least bath your vagina just before bed so that it keeps smelling fresh, right? And also then have a panty liner, change your panty liner, keep a panty liner with you. So these Lillet's one are actually individually wrapped. As you can see, you can always open it up and then stick it on your panty as well. These are great for your handbags. But even if you don't have or you cannot afford these ones, I can say you use these, but wrap it up nicely and then put it in a nice, pretty female bag or cosmetic bag that can slot into whatever bag you're carrying for the day. And you can always help another girl out just in case these things happen. Sometimes you're on antibiotics and suddenly there's a discharge and you're like, but I'm usually dry. So that's why it's important to have panty liners. Keeps you clean always. All right, before I get ahead of myself, and this is also one that I recently used. This is the Libreeze range. I must admit, I love the Libreeze pads. Oh my God, life-changing. Completely changed my life. I love them. And then these are their panty liners. I haven't seen any panty liner from Libreeze that was unscented. As a result, I'm not inclined to buy more of their panty liners, but these were actually quite comfortable. They are finished now. This is what it looks like, and it's also 20 in a pack, and then they always say they're giving you 5 extra or 6 extra, which makes it 25, 26. All right. So let's talk about the disadvantages, because everything has disadvantages, right? Disadvantages of wearing panty liners is that all day dampness, for example, if you don't change it, can lead bacteria to multiply. Remember, anything, there's the pubic hair, there's the moisture, you're walking around every day, you're sweating there, and then it can gather on the panty liner and it can cause issues for you, whether it be medical issues or just of a smell. So I always say, please change your panty liner twice during the day if you can, and then you should be fine. That's the first thing. But I mean, if you don't and you keep it on for long hours, you'll start getting itchy there, and nobody wants that. All right, some of the other disadvantages is that it can move. So if you don't stick it properly on your underwear, that's why I suggested you try different brands and make sure that you stick it on properly on your underwear so that it does not move and you don't end up having a discharge on the side of your pants or whatever the case may be. All right. And also, I did mention that it also supports your passion flows, right? So, if you are getting nice, hot, and heated, getting smooches, although you shouldn't be smooching now because of Corona, anyway, it covers you from that. It's so interesting. A few weeks ago, I recorded a video about washing your hands before you use the bathroom, and a lot of ladies were like, oh yeah, you're just being petty, you're just being a germaphobe, why must I? Here's Corona now, and now you're forced to wash your hands because you touching everything, the world and sundry, and then now you must come touch your vagina with those dirty hands. No, ladies, we don't do that. We wash our hands before we use the bathroom. Whether we're peeing, whether we're doing whatever, whether we're going to use tissue or not, we wash our hands. We don't want to be transferring bacteria to sensitive parts of our bodies. And after that, when you're done again, you wash your hands, you dry them, and you continue with life. All right. And the advantages of using panty liners, I think I've already mentioned them. Keeps you clean, keeps you fresh. Which is one of my biggest thing about panty liners, and that if you get to a place where there is no tissue, you can still wiggle it off and wear your panty liner, or maybe even change your panty liner so that you continue being fresh. All right. So, and also in terms of prices, it can actually be affordable. You can sacrifice for a month buying chocolate or buying stuff that you don't really need, and just buy yourself a pack of one of these or one of these, and find that it will actually work well for you and keep you clean. It's very important. If we are confident as women, the world and everything else does not scare us. So it's important to make sure that you clean. You bath twice a day, or if you can't bath twice a day, at least wash your vagina twice a day. Change your panty liner. Drink lots of water. Eat fruits, your strawberries, your pineapple where possible, and just try and keep it clean. All right, ladies, I'd love to hear from you. Tell me what your thoughts are. If there's anything that I missed, any experience that you've had with panty liners, good or bad, I'd love to know about it. And stay tuned for more videos. Cheers.